Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but this has been happening for 75 years, and Palestinians being killed en masse, thousands of children being killed.
And in that 75 years, there's been nearly 1 million Jews displaced from Arab countries in exactly the same time period.
I don't know too much
They were
about
forced.
that.
They were forced to go to Israel.
I don't know too much about that.
Welcome to the Leeds, the land of not allowed. This guy's got his own personal sticker. So's this one. How do?
Yeah.
He's got his own personal sticker as well. That's 2 out of 3. Uh-oh. That's 3 out of 4, despite being disabled. And that's 4 out of 5. And that says no waiting, 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. except taxis. Now we went through the definition of loading previously in some of my Harrogate stuff. Now this is called Fantasia. An HK MP 5K PDW BBCO2 5MG SMG. Look at all this. And as far as I can tell, they're all BBs. Pellet guns. Something called John Wayne. There's a Desert Eagle. And there's these swords and shit. I thought they tried to take these off the take these away from these sorts of shops and get them to hand them in, because fucking nutters still buy them and use them. Well, I mean, there's a number of people around, but it is disturbingly quiet. He says, just as he hears the chestnut sellers shouting, "Get your chestnuts here! Get some nuts!" Oh, Barclays. There are people outside.
Yeah, good.
Are these
for you.
competing people?
Want a leaflet while we're protesting?
Why are you all protesting?
Yeah.
Why are you protesting? Why are you protesting Barclays?
Recording,
Yeah?
eh?
Yeah?
Have a read, see what you think.
Why are you protesting Barclays though?
Have a read, it says it on the leaflet.
So she's got a Palestinian flag. What are these flags you've got? You've got the Yorkshire flag and the Palestine flag, right.
Show that Yorkshire stands for Palestine.
Does it?
I think so.
Ah,
Hundreds of
so
people every
it's an opinion.
Saturday.
Yeah, I know.
Coming out. More than welcome to absolutely.
Hundreds of people.
Hundreds of people.
Well, hundreds of thousands don't.
I don't know. I think when you survey people, most public opinion wants a ceasefire. They want peace. So
Yeah. That is a separate view than supporting one of the
I
sides,
think there
is
was
it not?
I think there was a thing as well. I can't remember who did the survey. It was Eagle maybe. Who said more people show sympathy with Palestinians, but I mean, I'm not too bothered whether it's a one-stage solution, two-stage solution, whether it's Palestine, Israel, and Palestine. I don't mind. I just want peace. I just want the war to end.
Oh, absolutely.
Barclays to stop making profit.
Well, what's the best way to stop it?
So the best way to stop it is to sanctions against Israel. And
Really?
Yeah.
As opposed to give the hostages back?
How can we give the hostages back?
Well, no, the Gazan, that Hamas gives the hostages back, which is the condition that Israel have said for actually getting to discussions.
I've heard a lot of different things about this because they've asked for the hostages back on the condition that Israel leaves, and Israel said, "Give us the hostages back no matter what, and we're not going to leave." And the problem is, it's like 200,000 people have already been killed.
Okay.
Hospital destroyed last night. We need a ceasefire now. We can debate what happens to 100 hostages, but 200,000 Palestinians, 14,000.
Well, I've not seen the numbers of 200,000.
So,
I've
yeah.
seen the numbers of 40,000, but not
So
200,000.
that's the official UN figure, but that's every single body counted. And the problem is so many bodies are under the rubble. And so there's
I don't know that I don't know that that's right, but I mean, it's whatever the number is. It's a high number. It's a high number, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's too high.
And
so we just need, in my opinion, because obviously people talk about hostages. It didn't start October 7th. This has been going on 75 years. They've been burning villages. They've been demolishing homes. They've been killing British journalists who've gone over there for decades. This didn't start a year ago.
as has happened in
Ian, do you
Palestine.
want to just turn your face?
Oh yeah, we're having a quick photo. Just have a quick photo for the social media.
All right then. Are you?
No,
Oh, yes.
I'm having a chat.
I've taken a couple. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but this has been happening for 75 years, and Palestinians being killed en masse, thousands of children being killed.
And in that 75 years, there's been nearly 1 million Jews displaced from Arab countries in exactly the same time period.
I don't know too much
They were
about
forced. They were forced to go to Israel.
I don't know too much about that. I know there's.
It's all available if you want to look it up.
Yeah.
It's straight on Wikipedia as well as everywhere else.
I know that before the Balfour Declaration, Jewish people, Muslim people, and Christian people lived in peace. They shared the
Exactly.
land.
Exactly. And
Why
since
can't we-
1948,
Yeah.
as soon as that came in, a lot of Jews fled and were forced out, leaving all their possessions, forced to Israel.
Yeah, 700,000 Palestinians forced out of
Exactly.
Jerusalem as well. So
Exactly.
it's wrong. And,
So it's both sides.
oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
So I mean,
Absolutely.
I find it difficult to pick a side in this.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Northern Ireland in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think there's a lot of parallels between that.
Yeah.
You've got an occupying force, the UK, that says this is our land, it belongs to us. Just like the Israelis do, they're trying to claim the West Bank, they're trying to claim Gaza, they're trying to claim, parts of Syria now as well. And then you've got the
Well, they're not trying to claim parts of Syria at the moment. I know there's the Golden Heights that was from the 1967 war, but they are basically making sure that they can see what's going on and they don't get attacked by what they might well perceive as terrorist forces in Syria that have taken control there. And we're all waiting to see what happens in
exactly.
Syria.
No, I'm
And they're just going, we've got to be able to see. So they're on Mount Heron. And it's like, yeah, okay. But they're stretching themselves as well. They're really stretching
The only
themselves.
problem I have with that is Benjamin Netanyahu, even before 2023.
Absolute nutter.
Absolute far-right nutter.
Yeah.
And he is absolutely intent on dragging Israel into wars with as many countries as possible.
I don't know whether he's far right at all.
I think he is. I think some of the things I've heard him say, some of the things I've heard him do is absolutely lunatic. I think he's making.
Well, I mean, it's the problem with the word far right.
Yeah,
I mean, people say that Hitler was far right.
I think he was.
Whereas actually he was far left. He was a socialist.
No, I mean the first people he rounded up and killed were the communists. Those were the people he's fought against.
He was against.
No problem at all.
He was against both the international communists, as in the Marxists, and he was against the capitalists. And who he actually turned were the capitalists were the Jews.
I think he was against foreign intervention. He was a nationalist. He was a
nationalist, but he was a socialist.
Going to San Coco. Are you coming?
No, I'll come in a second. Yeah, I might meet you.
Sorry, are you a YouTuber or are you one of the security guards? All right, I was going to join in and say.
Are you a nice one or?
Oh, I'm a nasty, horrible one. I am. Yeah.
I was going to say Hitler was a socialist.
He was.
We've been
He was.
Anyway, there's a. So I've walked. So I took a break to go to the toilet break. But down there,
you didn't need to tell me that.
I didn't need to tell you that. But I have been here. You see, so I sort of do. But down there's a young girl singing opera, and she has a really interesting crowd of people. Not crowd exactly, but she's attracting really interesting, a really wide range of people.
A beautiful voice will always attract a good crowd.
And she's a lovely, so if you wanted something nice rather than...
I do lots of stuff, just whatever's going on. I just saw you out here and came for a chat.
All right, okay, that's nice. But down there, she's really lovely and her voice is beautiful.
So do you disagree that Hitler was a socialist? Or do you agree?
I agree, he was a national socialist.
Exactly, yeah.
Sorry.
It's just people claim that he wasn't, and it's like...
He was a national socialist.
Everything to do with him was statism and...
Joe, we're going to that San Coco.
Statism and authoritarianism. And it's like... It's madness.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Anyway, yeah, it was an interesting.
Go and enjoy yourselves, guys.
Anyway, never mind.
Enjoy yourselves.
Socialists. Lots of people.
Yeah.
Lots of famous people were socialists.
Absolutely.
I don't think Hitler. He was in the Nationalist Socialist Party, but ideologically, certainly.
He was definitely a socialist. Everything was to do with the state. Everything.
Yeah, state power. But
state power, state control, state direction, state ownership, taking private ownership away.
Yeah.
His difference between international socialism, the Marxists, where the Marxists said the bourgeoisie are the problem, it's a class problem. Yeah. There's a lot of people that say Hitler was a race socialist and he was against the Jews, which is true, but all you have to do is say and make it very clear, because Hitler said it, the Jews were the capitalists. That's what he believed. In other words, the Jews were the bourgeoisie.
Right.
And that's where he went against the Jews. And it's like, all of it's nuts. And all it does is kill people. That's all.
I'm not a historian on that. I don't know too much, but it's an interesting perspective. I definitely agree. He wasn't right-wing, he was far left-wing. And he was actually a member of the Communist Party back in 1918 and 1919. But he hated the Marxists. Yeah. He hated the international. Which is why I thought he was right-wing.
No,
it's an interesting
it's socialism versus international versus national versus
they say it's a square
unionist, syndicalist, etc. And that's where fascism was different.
Yeah.
He wasn't fascist. Mussolini was fascist. Mussolini's girlfriend for 20 years was a Jew. They did not kill Jews in Italy. They were actually part of the fascist party, which is a socialist ideal. Franco was a bit different.
I don't know as much as you, clearly, on that.
He was a bit different. Whether Franco was a fascist, I don't know. But he was very much a monarchist. And he became a controller, an authoritarian.
It's an interesting perspective. Obviously, I don't know as much as you on that history, but
The key interesting one was the anarchists in Catalonia.
okay.
Anarchists, they joined with the Marxists and the POUM, who were the Trotskyists,
Right.
communists, rather than the Stalinist communists, and the trade unionists and all that. But the anarchists did not believe in a state at all,
Yeah.
which is the definition of capitalism. So what you actually had was absolute far right capitalists in the anarchists,
Yeah.
individualists completely, with the socialists and the communists
Yeah.
and all the little groups that all hated each other, all coming together, which was why the Popular Left Party absolutely crashed after 1936 as soon as it got into power, or 1933 as soon as it got into power, I think, whichever one it was. But who were they fighting against? And it was really a military junta in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Traditionalists,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to fascists, capitalists, whatever. It's like, I don't know how to describe the
It's
Franco
I think a lot of
lot.
ideologies are very confused in that regard. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
There is that thing of it's like left wing, right wing, but then also authoritarian level. So are you a
Socialism is
liberal,
authoritarianism.
or are you? Yeah.
That's what Marx has said.
Yeah.
Marx actually wrote, the goal, this is interesting, the goal of socialism is to take over all private property, have an authoritarian, totalitarian government that
Basic.
gives the direction, and once it's achieved and you've got rid of all of the bourgeoisie and all of the landowners, and everybody's working together as one, like in a beehive, you then get rid of the government,
Yeah.
which is the definition
Well,
of capitalism.
You replace that with not private capital, because they said private property was inherently theft, right? So that's the idea that you can't own something that someone else uses. That's theft.
But it's in
that's capitalism. So he was against
exactly.
that.
But his
what he was
end
talking
goal,
about is
his end
collective
goal
ownership,
was actually,
which is different.
but
from
his end goal was that people will be rewarded for their own
yeah.
contributions,
Yeah.
which is capitalism.
It's how your interpretation. So
I'm just saying the end goal.
So,
it's
so
like,
he was against landlords, for example. Capitalists
yeah.
love landlords because that is using your private capital to invest in property that someone else then pays for. Whereas he would have absolutely been against that. He says if you find a piece of land and you work that piece of land, that's your land. And then if you leave that piece of land, someone else can take it. So it's very different from private capital, shares, banks.
which
they wouldn't
is
exist.
no ownership, no private
Yeah.
property, and
So
whatever. And
it's an interesting perspective, but yeah, the anarchists.
which
just-
works? Which works best?
Well, I don't think communism can work in the society that we built, right? Like, there's too many people. You can't have everyone just have a tiny piece of land and grow their own crop. You need trade. And then you need capital to facilitate that trade.
Yeah.
But I would consider myself a socialist because I think that institutions like banks and stuff, they should work for the people. They shouldn't be for profit for shareholders. I don't think we should have shareholders.
Okay.
I don't think we should have landlords.
A perfectly good perspective,
You know.
because what you're not actually saying is there should be no property and no ownership.
No, like that's
Which
what
is-
Marx says.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good day. So
Which-
there's
which is
private
Britain.
property, which is where you own someone else's land and say you have to pay me rent. And then there's personal property, which is this coat is mine, right? Someone gave it to me, it's a gift, or I bought it, therefore this is personal property. And that's what kind of I think that Marx argued more for that. So I'm totally for personal property. I'm not even against billionaires. If you want to earn £1 billion, that's fine. But then you should probably get taxed really, really high as soon as you hit that. You know what I mean? Like the idea that people can afford to go to space when we have homeless people on the street and can't even afford somewhere to live. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
But where did our society is pretty good. And our
It is.
society came from
Try buying a house in London. You just can't.
our society came from innovation, though, didn't it?
It did.
And that innovation comes from people putting their money into risky stuff
absolutely.
and making mistakes. And the only way that will be done is if you've got money.
But then also capitalism then leads to monopolies, which is
It does.
a big problem, right?
Yeah.
Which is
So,
why you
so
need
there's
antitrust
balances that we need, isn't there?
Absolutely. Checks and balances.
And that's where the extremes of the definitions of socialism and capitalism, neither of them work.
No, I know. I meet some anarchists on our march. I'm like, you're lunatics. But then I also
Yeah.
meet a lot of far right people who come
Yeah.
up to me. I'm like, you're just
Yeah.
an idiot. you know what I mean? So,
I mean, if you are a strict capitalist, that's why I'm saying the anarchist sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That is strict capitalism. No government,
Yeah.
no state, nobody can tell me anything what I can do.
Yeah.
It's strict capitalism. It's like, how are they with the socialists
Yeah.
in Spain? I don't get it. I'm going to have to ask a historian that can actually
I don't
explain
know enough
this.
about anarchism. Everyone I've met is a bit of a weirdo, not so. But I need to.
It's really weird.
Anyway, right, I need to go because I'm very late.
Nice to speak to you.
It was lovely to speak
Well,
to you.
can I take your name?
Ian.
Ian.
Name.
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Monday.
Brilliant.
Are
Cheers,
you
Ian.
gonna come to the demo?
I will be seeing it later on. You will be quiet, of course. It's a silent one.
Hopefully, there's always one or two who want to cause a ruckus anyway.
Yeah, I'll be talking along with everybody and seeing if anybody will talk to them.
Thank you. Have a good day.
See ya.